Okay then, Martin, if we look at these three swings here now, the one on the right and the middle one were kind of your before, and the left hand, which we'll get to in a second, is kind of your after. If we look at initially your kind of setup, where your body's kind of pointing there, that is pretty much where you're aiming with that first shot. Maybe a little bit left of that, but certainly a lot further right than where your target was over here behind your left shoulder. So because of that now, you have to sort of swing the golf club very much on your back foot. Trying to swing the golf club now to target is going to be very much across the line in which you're facing. Now, because of that, whether you incorporate this hip movement into the swing as a sort of compensation or it just sort of came together anyway, but if we look here from kind of face on here, there's your right hip at setup. You can see as you go back a slide in that takeaway. And as we get to the top of the batch, and then the rotation kicks in, and now we just start rotating. We come back to impact here now. That right hip is still this side of that green line, and therefore you're hitting off the back foot. That's going to involve generally pulling across the golf ball to the left. And if the lie isn't good enough, you're going to meet the ground behind the golf. As we saw those first sort of half dozen 8 irons, when it was a good lie, you hit a lovely golf shot. The strike was nice. When it was a slightly sat down lie or not such a good lie, we hit the ground behind the golf ball. Hit it a little bit heavy and a bit thin. So readjust that alignment to make it a bit easier now for your direction in terms of contact in the golf ball. As I said, direction of your body doesn't affect direction of the shot. It affects the quality of your contact, okay? And you make it a lot easier now for you to swing and rotate more effectively. So if you swing round here now, so you've got that better alignment, you can see now that left line now on your left hip. Now as you swing the golf club back, a little slide in there, but we start getting away from that green line. As we start moving back, you can see at least here, that line is back on your hip at worst case, not your hip over to the side. So at least you probably, at least worst case scenario, stayed in the position you were. And again, the right foot often gives an indication of that. This right foot now is starting to lift, whereas the middle one, we can see here now, very much off the back foot, whereas the left-hand one there, bit more on the front foot, okay? So that foot now is moving a little bit more here up on its toe, which again is an indication that your weight shift has gone from here to target, which is a change of path. Again, good movement there with the lower half moving towards target, whereas this one here now more on your back foot, more of a kind of pivot around off that right foot. The right foot now hasn't really moved and doesn't really move off the ground, and he's pretty much kind of fixated. Your toes are sort of really gripping on the ground there to try and maintain some kind of sort of balance, okay? Whereas this one, we shift that right foot now. If we look at the difference, we zoom in on these, how much your right foot now is up on its toe, knees are starting to come together, just a general better body movement to the left side. So look at that alignment, make sure that alignment's not too far to the right, and then your sole swing thought now at setup, thinking in terms of your backswing, is get this right hip and this right shoulder to get behind you, out of the way, okay? Rotate that on the way back as much as you physically can and comfortably can, and then we can move towards target as we come through. If we start sliding too much on the way back, we then rotate off the back foot, hit the ground behind the ball, slicing it and thinning it, and maybe the unmentionables will start creeping in. So hope that makes sense. Any questions, obviously give me a shout, and I will catch up with you soon. Cheers, Martin.